Good morning. Hi, welcome to another vlog. Welcome to a reading vlog. My name is Laura. If you're new here, hi, hello. Today I decided to do a reading vlog because I am challenging myself. The last time I tried to do a challenge, I completely failed. I found a favorite book, but I completely failed. So this challenge doesn't have like a time. It has a time. I have a deadline, but it doesn't have like a time limit, like a 24-hour challenge situation. Today is May 30th, and I have read 7 books for the month of May, and I want to see if I can push that to a beautiful even number of 10 books. So that means I have to read 3 books in 2 days. This challenge already started horribly because I was supposed to start it yesterday on the 29th, so it could be like 3 books in 3 days type situation, but I DNF'd that book. I think my bookmark is still on here too. I was reading Brutes by Diz Tate, which is a story about a group of girls who are obsessed about a girl who went missing in that town. They were already obsessed with her and then she went missing type situation. And I was just bored. I was just so bored. I was only 47 pages in and I genuinely did not care. Maybe it's a wrong time situation because I actually had really high hopes for this book, but I just really don't want to keep reading it. So I'm going to DNF it. Maybe won't unhaul it anytime soon, but I am going to DNF it for now. So that is why this challenge already started very horribly. I already have 2 other books lined up, so I will choose the 3rd book later, but that is why we are thankful that short books exist. So these are the books that I have for this lineup. The first book that I'm going to read is Heart of a Dog by Mikhail Bulgakov. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. And he is the author of one of my favorite books, which is The Master and Margarita. And this is another Russian satire set on the Soviet Union, or satire about the Soviet Union, sorry. It was written in 1925, but it actually did not get published until 1987. Which I think is pretty interesting. Its satire is as ferocious and timely now as when it was written, according to the blurb. And this book is about a dog named Sharik who was given a new life because Soviet scientists transplanted the pituitary gland and testes of a petty criminal. So now that he's essentially human, more human than dog, I guess, he works for the government and is officially in charge of purging the city of cats. Like I said, I loved The Master and Margarita, so when I saw that he had one more book out there, I really wanted to check it out, and here we are. This book is about 123 pages, so I know for a fact that I could get through this in 1 day. And the next book that I have on the list is technically a reread, and that is Pedro Páramo by Juan Rulfo. This is a new translation by Douglas J. Weatherford that came out in, I think, 2024, maybe 2023, 2024, around there. And I read the original English translation for my master's back in 2022, so this edition hadn't come out yet, and I didn't really like it. I genuinely didn't really like this book. I kind of struggled through it, but I saw that there was so much potential to it. There were just moments where Spanish is my second language, but I could genuinely say I'm pretty fluent in it. So there were a lot of moments where I just personally felt that this could have been translated better. So when I found out that there was a new translation, I had to grab it. I bought it right away. And also there's a foreword by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. So I'm really interested to see what he has to say, especially because this is one of Mexico's biggest classics. This one has not including the translator's notes. Oh look, this one also has 123 pages. Oh, that's actually really exciting. So my guess is that I could finish these books today in one day. So once I'm done with these books, I will choose the third one once I'm done with this, just because I don't really want to waste time choosing a third book. Again, it will most likely be a short book, but luckily I have a whole stack of short books to choose from, so I'm excited about that. It is currently 9:40, and again, I will be just focusing on reading all day. I do have to run some errands, so that is when I will be doing check-ins, and if not, I will be checking in at the end of each novel and give my 2 cents. It is way later into the day since when I started this video, and I haven't read. It's 12:06. As you can see, I have a change of clothes because some things came up that I needed to take care of almost immediately after I stopped filming, which was really weird. But now I'm finally reading, and it's already starting strong because our first 3.5 pages are in the point of view of a dog who unfortunately is dying. So the intrigue is there. Let's get to reading. So I am 46 pages in, and I'm about to start chapter 4, but I am going ahead and taking a lunch break. And I already... This is so funny. I like it. I like what I'm reading, but I don't like what I'm reading at the same time. So we know from the synopsis in the back of the book that the dog turns into a lab experiment. As you can see, a dog wearing a suit, right? But so far, these first 4 chapters have been about him being rescued from the streets and living this wonderful and comfortable home. And I don't like it. I don't like the fact that this poor dog is going to essentially be betrayed. I don't like where this is going. I paused, but I accidentally read the first line of the first chapter, and it's already very foreboding. That's the right word that I'm trying to use. I don't like it. I don't like where this is going, but it is a good read so far. A lot of the political commentary has already come up, and that is actually very interesting, especially because I am personally not that familiar with, I guess, the political context of the Soviet Union in the 1920s and everything like that, that I do have to, I guess, look into that a little bit more to understand exactly what's going on. So I am a little lost there. I might do some quick research on my lunch break before I continue reading this so that I can fully understand what's going on. This is satire, so I want to know where the satire is, if that makes sense. Anyways, I'm enjoying it so far, but I don't like it at the same time. So yeah, I'm gonna take a lunch break and then I will read later. Um, so I finished it. I finished The Heart of a Dog. I really liked it. I actually did. Was not what I was expecting. The ending was very bittersweet, I think. I don't want to say too much just because I feel like if I give any more details, I will be spoiling this book very much. I've already given so many spoilers, but there's so much more that went into the book that I didn't say in these 123 pages. But I will say that if the Master and Margarita maybe intimidates you, you don't know if you want to pick it up or not, then I do recommend picking up this one because it's less chaotic, but you still get that, you know, political commentary, and also his writing style is very much still there. And like I said, I love The Master and Margarita. It is one of my favorite books, but it was a very chaotic ride to read. So if that book intimidates you, or you don't want something so chaotic, then I recommend picking up Part of a Dog, actually. Very interesting, maybe not for everybody. I will admit that I think a lot of the heavier political themes went over my head because I'm just not familiar with Russian culture. Like, I looked up on Reddit and I found a Reddit post talking about the characters' names, and their names have even deeper significance, deeper political commentary that just went over my head. So if you don't mind not understanding a lot of the political commentary, then go ahead and pick it up. But if you do mind, if you're not familiar with a lot of the political commentary around the Soviet Union in the 1920s, then you might need to do a little bit of research, like surface level research, to understand the political commentary that is throughout the novel, I think, in my opinion. Because once I looked up a lot of the things that I kind of didn't understand, a lot of things clicked and a lot of the jokes made more sense. So those are my final thoughts. That was Heart of a Dog by Mikhail Bulgakov. I'm going to have a tiny break just so I could process what I read. And the next book, as mentioned, that I'm going to pick up is Pedro Páramo by Juan Ruflo. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, this is a reread, but one I have been wanting to reread, and it is a new translation, so I am very excited to pick this up again, and I will come back on after my break once I start this. I went out last night. I spontaneously went out last night. It was not part of my plans. And we parked and walked to the bar that we went to, and while we were walking, it was a short distance, it wasn't a problem, but it started raining a little bit. It was lluvisniendo. And where we sat at the bar, a nice breeze was flowing through because of the fan. I don't know how to call it in English, but creo que me desfrié. So I'm not feeling too hot, Millhouse, but I don't think I have a fever. My body just hurts a little bit because of that, basically. Anyways, hi, it's the next day. Because I went out last night, I actually didn't get that far into Pedro Páramo. I only got into 4 pages, but that did equal to 3 sections. This isn't split into chapters, it's split into sections. If you can see here. So I only made it 4 pages in, and then I had to get ready. So we're not off to a good start again for the last day of May, but I do have confidence that I'll be able to meet my goal. And I realized that I never explained what Pedro Páramo was about, but Pedro Páramo is about a guy who is looking for his estranged father. His mom left him because he's apparently like this corrupt ranchero, and on her deathbed asked him to go and get what is owed to them, like child support type situation. And this isn't spoiled, this is like, I'm summarizing what's in the back. And when he arrives at the town, it's essentially a ghost town, and he is slowly finding out what happened to the town and essentially what happened to his father as he roams around the town. So it's very uncanny. Are they ghosts? Are they not ghosts? Nobody knows exactly what goes on. There emerges the tragic tale of Baramo himself and the town whose every corner holds the taint of his rotten soul. So he wasn't a good guy. So basically this book is about exploring his character and everything and what happened to the town that was once flourishing and green and now is essentially a desert wasteland. So that is what this book is about. I remember thinking that the premise was actually very interesting and everything like that, and I do still do that. I am still very interested in it, which is why I am reading the new translation. So yeah, so I will be doing that today. I also went ahead last night while I was getting ready. I was thinking about like what other books I could read since I still need my third one, and I went ahead and found that out. And the next book that I'm going to read is The Employees by Olga Ravn. And this is a Danish novel. So it's not a classic, but it is another work of translation. I kind of want to keep going with this theme. And it's tiny, and it is also one of the main reasons why I picked it up is because, it's 125 pages, so it is around the same page range, but also like look how empty it is.
9:50 a.m.
It's 9:50 a.m. so we'll see what time it is when I finish this. I'll check in every now and then with these novels like I did with Heart of the Dog. I don't know what I'm trying to do. Anyways, let's get to reading.
Lo que quiero es vivir donde viven las palmas. Lo que quiero es morir donde viven las palmas. Lo que quiero es un mundo verde, uno que puedo disfrutar. Lo que quiero es un mundo verde, uno que no voy a abandonar. Oye, mira, mira, lo que quiero es calor, no quiero el frío. Mira, mira, quiero la luz, no la oscuridad. Mira, mira, un mundo verde bonito, eso es lo mío. Mira, mira, quiero sonrisas y felicidad.
Hi. So remember how I said that I wasn't feeling good? So as soon as my camera died, I continued reading and then I somehow got distracted, ended up taking a nap, continued to get distracted, walked my dog, and now it is 4 o'clock and I have yet to get past the 28-page mark. It's not because it's a bad book. I'm actually enjoying it. A lot of that weirdness is really showing up, and I'm enjoying it. I just really didn't feel good and I needed to take a nap. I just needed to turn off my brain for like a second. So we're in the town. We finally have some glimpses of all like the ghosts in the town and everything like that. Yeah, let's get to reading. anyways, hi, welcome back. I am done with Pedro Paramo. So as I mentioned, when I first read this, it was kind of like, it was a tough read, only just because I feel like the translation was not the best. And reading it now, I really liked it. I thought it was very well done. I don't know if it's because it's a reread, so my brain was able to follow the events easier, or if it really is because this translation is just so much better. But I was able to enjoy it a lot more the second time around. It was weird, it was creepy and touching at the same time, and I really liked it. I'm glad. Not only am I thankful that there is a new translation, I'm glad I made the resolution to pick up the new translation and try it again because I really like it. It's 7:30, so I am going to start. To reiterate, today is May 31st. And I'm trying to read as many books as I can by the end of the month to hopefully make it. The original goal is to make it to 10 books. So now I'm going to start The Employees by Olga Ravin. From my understanding, this is basically a bunch of vignettes or a bunch of like entries about employees working in a factory, and some are humanoids and some are actual humans, but you don't know. And it's kind of like just going about their daily tasks and everything. That's what my understanding of what this book is about. I'm trying to take off this damn sticker so I could read the actual synopsis in the back of the book. It's a sci-fi, and they're aboard a spaceship, I guess. And basically these little vignettes are them complaining about their daily task in a series of staff reports and memos. When the ship takes on a number of strange objects from the planet New Discovery, the crew becomes deeply attached to them even as tension boils towards mutiny, especially among the humanoids. Oh, okay, so there seems to actually be a plot. I thought it was just going to be one of those like philosophical, no plot, just thinking type of books, but apparently there is a plot. The Employees probes into what makes us human while delivering a hilariously stinging critique of life governed by the logic of productivity. Interesting. Okay, so I'm excited to read this. I'm just going to give myself a quick little just break so that I could digest more and then start this. So I will see you guys in the first update. Today is June 1st, and yes, I have reached my goal of reading 10 books in May. I will be filming a reading wrap-up video to talk about all of the books, but for now, let's recap the 3 books that I read in this video. So to start with, The Employees by Olga Ravin. This was a story of memos and interviews, or like the layout was about memos and interviews, and it basically laid out the story of the humanoid employees essentially gaining consciousness and expressing how they feel like they are just as human as their human coworkers. So a lot of the vignettes, sections, chapters, whatever you want to call them, they were both from human employees and the humanoid employees, but I realized that I resonated a lot more with the humanoid ones just because they had a lot of touching moments of questioning what it actually means to be human. But yeah, so a lot of the statements really talked about these philosophical concepts of like what in the end it was very bleak but hopeful as well, and I really liked this book. I'm not much of a sci-fi kind of person, but when sci-fi gets philosophical like this, I've realized that I do like my time here. So that was The Employees by Olga Ravin. I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. So the first book that I had read for this challenge was Heart of the Dog by Mikhail Bulgakov. And as I mentioned, this is the same author who wrote The Master and Margarita. And since reading this, I definitely believe that if you want to read The Master and Margarita but are intimidated by the chaotic writing style that everybody claims the book is, which I agree, it was a wild ride, I recommend jumping into Heart of Dog first so you could understand the surrealism his writing style is. I don't know words. And I think by understanding this book, you can easily jump into The Master and Margarita, in my opinion. As mentioned during the reading process, this is about a scientist who decides to transplant the pituitary gland and testes of a human into a dog, and by doing so, the dog slowly and eventually transforms into a human. I was actually pleasantly surprised that this ended up being some kind of like Frankenstein retelling, because the professor's goal was different from the actual outcome of what happened within the test, and the creation, the dog calls him father, the professor hates what he created type situation. The whole plot, I guess, that says in the back of the book of him eventually working for the government to purge the city of cats. If you're going into this book wanting to read more of that, spoiler alert, that is literally the last 20 pages of this book. Maybe even less. The entire book is basically just the dealings with this transformation and the dog essentially becoming human. And this is political satire. This is political commentary on the working man. This was written during Soviet Union Russia, and so our main characters are one group and the other main characters are another group. So once you understand those political themes at play, you really do understand more of what the book is about. And I really don't want to give a lot of spoilers. This was a fun read. I'm really glad I read it. The Master and Margarita is one of my favorite books, and I want to actually revisit it soon. And I'm glad that I've been able to read both of Mikhail Bulgakov's books. And then the next book, which was the second book that I read, but last to be discussed, is Pedro Páramo by Juan Rulfo. Anyways, this is a reread for me. However, it's also a new read because this is a different translation. And this book is about a man, as his mother's dying wish, he visits her hometown, the town that she grew up in, to try to confront his estranged father to get what they deserve, as she puts it. But turns out the town that she grew up with essentially no longer exists. It's a ghost town, and even the reader doesn't really know if the characters that we encounter in the book in the present day, because it's a two timeline type of situation, if they're alive or not. And I think that's pretty cool. You do find out that his dad has been dead for a long time, so the rest of the book is just him going through the town, figuring out what's happening in a sense. And then the dual timeline is his father's journey and how he came into power. He is the rich landowner of the town who provides everybody's work and everything like that. He's a ranchero, corrupt and everything. And the ending of the book leads to the beginnings of the Mexican Revolution. So because he's a ranchero, nobody likes him, essentially. I am doing a bad job at summarizing this, but I'm also trying to be careful to give details because a lot of details could spoil this book, but I really, really highly recommend it. I'm not sure if it's because it's a reread, but this time around it was a lot smoother to read. It flowed a lot better, and it could also just be the fact that it's a new translation and the translation just did a better job. But I remember when there were moments that I was like just confused of what was going on. And when I came across those moments again in this book, things flowed better and I understood things more. So yeah, this is weird, ghost town, ghost stories, uncanny and everything like that. And it is a classic work of Mexican literature. And I'm glad that I gave it a second chance, honestly, because when I was first reading it for my master's thesis, I couldn't DNF it because it was part of my thesis. But now I actually really like it. I'm glad I didn't DNF it, and I'm glad that we're here, me recommending it and everything like that. Honestly, I was still recommending it regardless because again, it's a classic work of literature. It's a Mexican classic work of literature, and we need to read more classics in every part of the world. So to reiterate, I had read 7 books in the month of May, and I decided to round up that number to 10 for this challenge for the last 2 days. I started on Friday and I did finish my last book at Sunday night. So we're here. We made it to 10 books at the end of May. Like I mentioned earlier, I will have a whole reading wrap up posted that talks about all the books that I've read. So if you enjoy this video, please consider subscribing so that you can be aware of that next video that talks about all my books. And if you like this video, please leave a like. Please subscribe if you want to catch up on everything else. I post a vlog. I try to post a vlog almost every week, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.